What is up, people? Hope you're all doing well. In his latest interview with Deserto, I will link it down below, guys. A great interview with formerly known as FaZe Censor, obviously establishing his new rivalry, but also expected rivalry with Atlanta FaZe for the first season of Call of Duty League. Although during this interview makes a lot of great points. Again, a really great piece linked down below for all of you guys, done by Mike. One of the first things he does bring up, though, in this kind of expected FaZe rivalry is some other rivalries we're not really sure if they are true or not. We've talked about it here on this show quite a few times, player versus player or org versus org rivalries going forward, which I want to keep a fresh list because I really do think these are the kind of things we need ahead of the first season. I think one keynote that was actually made, one of the more important topics talked about, was the rivalry between Censor and his now teammate Temp, which, by the way, we've talked about here time and time again. I thought it was pretty serious. According to Censor, that's all in the past. There was no beef there, but I don't know about that.
Temp, he's someone that I've seen firsthand. You and him have had kind of a bit of an issue. What have you kind of settled the beef? Was there any beef in the first place?
And they asked me about that, and it's really interesting to me because honestly, there's nothing between us. I mean, him and I are cool. Like, I don't think we never really had an issue. I think what it is when you're on a live stream or even at tournaments, because I think what really happened was the tournament when we played each other at Dallas in World War II.
Yeah.
I came back in the competitive Call of Duty, and Temp's a loudmouth, so. I don't play for 3 years. He made a name for himself in the end of Advanced Warfare. I remembered him. And he still didn't win, but he was talking a lot. And I was like, this guy's really good. But he's talking a lot of smack for a guy who's never won something before, So I like to give him, a little bit of banter back and forth. So, or going through his body, and he's like, "You suck, Doug." And I think because people see that, they automatically just assume that we don't like each other. But I have a lot of respect for Donnie. I think he's a great player. And I think he has matured a lot over the last few years. And I'm really rooting for him. Even in Black Ops 4 when I wasn't playing, I really liked the way that he played the game. And I like what he's doing with our team. And I like the way that we all interact with each other. I got no problems with Donnie, man.
I mean, you guys have seen the clips, right? Whether or not Censor finds it to be a serious piece of beef back in the past, over the past few years, I should say, in several instances around the issue as well between him and Temp. Maybe he didn't take it seriously, but I swear, guys, in my opinion only, okay, maybe you can agree with me or not, I felt like Temp was taking those things pretty serious when he hated on Censor. So if it does come to be and Censor gets his time to actually play on the starting lineup, yeah, cue all the comments out there that say, "Oh, Censor's not going to get a chance to play anyway." I don't really care about that. The opportunity is still there in front of him, and I'm just waiting for the moment where Censor maybe does get to step in and play alongside Temp, and we'll see if that hate or that beef is actually there, at least from Temp's side. I really do hope it's in the past, and we've seen it time and time again with these Call of Duty pros who take to each other on Twitter. It's usually banter, it's friendly, they keep it on Twitter. We'll see, though, if his teammates have an issue with him, if he does get the chance to play throughout this season, and one of the teams they'll be playing against will be that new rival, that being Atlanta FaZe. I thought also a very curious point is we obviously know the past with Censor and FaZe Clan, leaving that organization for the NY Subliners after several years with them and several years of what he felt was a wrongdoing from the clan themselves, which again is a very debatable point, right? He got a lot out of FaZe. FaZe got a lot out of him when it comes to Call of Duty and his championships, which again cues a lot of hate out there, but I thought it was a very curious take that he actually has had, and he's talked about this in a personal video, in a Hex interview, and now a Deserto interview with Mike Kent as well. The Atlanta FaZe rivalry, let that be added to the list versus NY Subliners.
To New York this year, and you kind of said goodbye to FaZe. Was there any sort of expectation on your part that FaZe was going to get a spot? Were you aware that they were going to get Atlanta? And are you kind of, do you have any kind of feelings towards the fact that they did end up getting Atlanta and you weren't a part of that team?
I made it really clear. I've wanted to play on the competitive team since I joined FaZe Clan. I never wanted to get off the competitive team. I got dropped from the competitive team when I won him a championship. Not even like a celebratory dinner or anything. It was just, hey, we're gonna make Pat the captain. And I was like, if you do that, he's gonna drop me. That's okay. We'll give you your B team, and you're not gonna have any players to choose from, and you're basically gonna go on a downhill spiral. So it was just like a really tough situation, and I'm grateful in one sense because they taught me everything I know with branding and YouTube, and they really put me under the ropes and gave me a career, really. And I never will forget that. But I never was a fan of the way that they treated me as a player. I was never happy about the way that I'm a very direct guy, and I get right to the chase. I'll pick up a phone and I'll call somebody and I'll tell them my problem if I have a problem with them. And no one would ever get on a phone call with me. Nobody would ever talk to me for 5 years. They would just ignore me. Every time I'd ask if I wanted to play, they would just say, team's full right now, sorry. And, just making false promises and promising you a captainship, taking it back, and then expecting you to just not be upset about that and not even like taking any accountability for it really bothers me. So I never got closure the way that I wanted.
Do you think when New York plays Atlanta or Atlanta FaZe, do you think there's, if you did get a chance to play, is there a little bit of a rivalry there now, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, there's 3 players that were on FaZe Clan that won every single championship for that organization that was not included in their franchise plan. So I'm pretty sure that when we see that match, we're gonna make sure that we give it our all.
And why I say we just need this is because when it comes to player versus player, yes, they can go back and forth. I think those kind of gimmicks, those kind of fights are really interesting. But when it comes to team versus team, org versus org, I would say it's a much more of a rarity in terms of rivalry matchups. I think we'll have, of course, when it comes to NRG, Chicago Huntsmen versus LA Optic. LA Optic has probably a lot of rivals out there, much like Dallas Empire versus Optic versus Chicago Huntsmen. Maybe Paris and London if we're lucky enough. There's some other rivalries as well, but add to the list Atlanta FaZe versus New York Subliners. And just imagine, give it a take, guys. One map doesn't go or does go either which way, and all of a sudden Censor steps in against his alma mater and against some older teammates, and also playing alongside a team who he's had some experience with in the past, as many of these Call of Duty players have floated around. Just imagine for a second out there all the rivalries between player versus player and team versus team, the possibilities for weekend 1 matchups, which I think we can all agree with the current format, which is going to stick it out for our first season schedule. We need some rivalries, right? We need content. We need the game to be fixed a little bit more, but I love this kind of thing, guys. Censor is out for blood against FaZe. The giant question is, and you guys do not have to answer this in comments, but I know plenty of you will he get the chance to play against Atlanta FaZe? Until next time, I hope you guys all enjoy breaking down esports, gaming news here every single day, all day long. Until then, take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.